Hello, let's see. Cool. I am live on Twitch. What about YouTube? Yeah, hello. Hello. Cool. It's working on YouTube as well. Let's just check the kick part. Okay, that's done. What I'll do is two places, Bluesky and Twitter. It will be a short video this time. Okay. Here goes for Twitch. I think I am a little bit zoom out. No, let it be. Okay, this is my Twitch. Where's the Twitch? I think if I just give you the profile, the profile page, that should be it. So I'll just copy paste these two, paste it here like so. And here we go with the YouTube. Wait a minute, let me just have my buttons of sleeves done. All right, so while I do this, basically just let me set the context of this video while I'm doing this. So the context of this, yeah, we'll start. Um, you know what? Let's start once I complete this thing. Okay, here we go. YouTube. And the way to share the YouTube live stream is this. Just copy pasta. Don't share the kick ones. Maybe I should start sharing those ones. Let's see, how long will it take? Should I remove this? Okay, something is wrong with the OG graph images or Twitter images, I guess. Cool. Here we go, and let's do the same here in Bluesky so that we are all clear. Yeah, let it be Twitch only. Cool. Live and kicking. All right. Here we go. Thanks for the likes. Okay. All right. Let me start. Cool. Let's start with Excel and let's start with the extension welcome message. Okay. So welcome back to the code dusting, and my name is Vasu Srivastav, and I hope we are good. By the way, it's been a week. The last time I actually streamed the PHP version live 6, I guess, live stream 6. It's been a week since then. I'm being busy. I have been busy. That's why I'm not doing much. Anyways, to set the context of this video, here's what I'm going to do. I'll first be doing this introduction, checking and things like that, which I just did. But apart from that, there are two topics that I want to tackle today in this particular video. One topic is related to my opinions on what I think where the AI is going to take the tech world forward. That's one topic. And then we have topic number 2, which I think, let me just write it down. Opinions of AI driven tech. And topic number 2 is basically I have to talk about this text editor, which is Helix. Helix is a text editor which is kind of like a replacement, you can say, or competitor, you can say, of NeoVim. And I will try to talk into why we should be learning this as a developer, why you need to have at least one editor which is text based. Okay, I mean not text based, terminal based. Okay, terminal based. Okay, Let's start with the opinions piece because this is interesting and I think it's something that I've been thinking about. Okay, so I am on my Excel draw, so I'll start writing with a bunch of opinions. I'll first write the opinions, then I'll simply explain them point by point why I think that is the case. Well, here's the opinion number one, by the way. Opinion one is, we know that AI is here. Okay, so what about this? Well, when I say artificial intelligence is here, it simply means that as much as we try to neglect as a developer or as any professional in any field out there, AI is here to stay. That's like, it's just here and you cannot not use it, right? You cannot not afford to use it. That's the entire thing. And notice there's like, you have to start using it in order to get good at it. Cool. Okay. However, that does not mean I am like those CEOs of these companies who are trying to fool the VCs, who are then trying to come to the conclusion that this AI will simply replace all the jobs in the market in next 5 or 10 years. Now, that could be a crazy possibility, but in that case, if the AGI is here, then we are all toast. And then we have either two of the, you can say, one is stable option, one drastically catastrophic option. I'll talk about it in point number 5, which is going to be little bit of politics. Okay, so why do I think that this thing AI is kind of like a dangerous thing? And when I say dangerous, I mean, for the first time in human history, it's not a tool which is replacing another tool so that human can learn it. Okay, what I mean by that is very simple. So for the I mean, you can say since the dawn of human history, we have two entities. One entity is human, not human. Entity is human. Another entity was always the tool. The combination of these two entities, human and tool, gave birth to something called skill. Always, right? Then we had skilled humans, right? And the skilled humans plus the demand of that skill in the world gave birth to something called jobs. Make sense? Hope it does. It's not tough. It's basically how the job actually comes into play. And then the job at scale became businesses. That's it. That's the, if I have to tell you in one simple or three simple points how the entire thing actually works, how the entire world actually works in terms of job, demand, supply, this is how it actually works. You have a human and you have a tool. The human masters that tool and develops a skill. Then the human becomes a skilled human, which then combines with a demand in the market of that particular skill, which gives birth to a job for that human. And then if some person can figure it out how to scale a particular job and just make it big so that increase the demand and increase the supply, that's kind of like a business zone. Okay, so that's what it is. Now the AI part is going to actually disrupt this equation. Why? Because you see, even in the industrial revolution, every time in the human history, what happened was this entity got replaced. So I'll make it red, not entire red. Let's do it like so. So this entity right here, I'll make it like so. Okay, maybe I should write it again. Okay, so the tool entity, right, which I'll make it like this. Here, okay, entity which used to get replaced. Okay, so till this point, it's the tool entity which always used to get replaced rather than the human entity. Okay, all right. Let me just check whether it's working or not, then we'll continue. Yeah, it is working. So it was always a tool entity which used to get replaced, which then actually this led to human learning new tool and reskilling. Okay, and then human replaced human, right? Or they just like learn the entire thing and then replaced other humans who chose not to learn this new tool. So that's the entire journey of how the entire disruption till this point used to happen. It was a new tool in the market, and a bunch of humans learn that tool. The demand supply game starts happening once more, and therefore the humans who learned that tool replace the humans who chose not to use those tools. But this time, and this is my belief that, and this is, you can say, pretty much evident, is that this time it's a human entity in the equation above which is about to change or about to get replaced. And this is kind of like a scary, because technically speaking, a tool is not a living human being, which is, well, fact. It's kind of like a fact, but a human is a living being who requires a job to find purpose. That's kind of like the most that's true for most people on this planet, right? If they do not have a job, or they do not have something to do daily, they will go insane. Okay, so therefore, when I say this, the AI is here, that's my first opinion. What I'm trying to say is there's a huge possibility that 30% to 50% of this entire job market that exists right now can be replaced by AI. And I can show you a very simple demonstration. So let's say I'm an author, right? So I'll go to ChatGPT. Okay, so assume that I'm an author, right? And I am an English author. Cool enough? Fair enough. And there's a book that I'm writing, a novel that I'm writing, and that novel is actually in English, obviously, because that's the only thing that I need. I know. Okay, so I write an entire, let's say, a book. So I'll write this. So I'll just write it here. Okay, let's see. Okay, title. Hope this is visible. Let me just check whether I should do this. Zoom it out. Okay, hope this is visible. So let's assume I'm an author and I want to write an article. So I'll write identity, the root of all conflict. Right, that's my title. Then here's my body. Identity is the root, and I'm just writing it like I'm a novice, so just hear me out. Identity is the root of all evil, all conflict in this world. Okay, wait, let me just see one thing. Yeah, cool. Let me just rewrite it, because this is what I do as an author, right? Sorry. Start a new chat. God. Okay, I'll write a new thing. Okay, let's say I write a title, identity. If only I can type identity is the root of all conflict. Body. Okay, let's see. Identity is one of the most mysterious subject of mind that is root of all forms of conflict in this world. Okay, the mind is split as per the yoga as per the yoga, Hindu philosophical school within the Hinduism, into four major parts. These are manas, which is let's see, memory vault, you can say. This is memory vault. Two, Then it is buddhi, which is intellect. Then it is ahankar, or you can say ahamkar, aham, right? Aham means me, I, the ego. So that is ego, right? The I identity. And then you have chitta, right? This is the unsullied consciousness as per the tradition. Okay, so let's say I'm a writer and I'm trying to write this thing, right? And imagine this is my entire book, right? And I just say, here we go. Now, first thing that this entire chat GPT will do is try to give me the research oriented philosophy things, which is fine. And here it is. But this is not what I actually want. What I want is, as an author, I want to scale my book, right? And in the scaling of the book, there are a bunch of things that actually used to happen. One is, here's the entire journey. You have an author. Let me just this. So you are an author and you write. Author writes the book. And this is an example that I'm taking in the, you can say, the literary world, right? But there can be literary world, but there can be, no, in the world of literature, I can speak that better. There can be a bunch of other industries in which you can actually take a look at. So let's say the way of publishing a book is like this. Author writes the book, editor, uh, like edits it, you can say, edits or critiques it. Then you have translator, translates it to different languages, and then distributor, aka publishing houses, distribute it, right? So that's, let's say, that's a very simple basic example of how the book is actually goes from the creation to the end user. In this thing, we have 4 different jobs. One is the job of an author. Second is the job of an editor. Third is the job of a translator. A lot of people actually translate. Okay, translator. And then finally the job of publisher, right? So we already have tackled the problem of publishing. If you check, there is a self-publishing thing. But most of the time, the self-publishing things, self-published books do not scale well. Therefore, you actually go, the authors have to go and, go to big publishing houses, which are renowned publishing houses, and they actually sell the books. So that's just taken care of, right? Still, even though there's a disruptor of self-publishing, this part, let me put it like this, is never actually, leaving away, right? Because this part is the business part. However, these 3 part are in danger. These 3 part, they are in danger. What I mean by that is, so this, yeah. Okay, so what I mean by that is, let's assume I'm an author and I have an edge over a person who is not an author because I can write better. Okay. But if you are an author, you know that these are all facts. This is not so-called good writing material. That's how I have wrote it, right? I could have written it better, but let's assume that this is how I have written it. So what I will do is, I will ask ChatGPT or any AI model for that matter to actually do better, right? So I'll say, I am an author. Why I'm not able to write today? Maybe it's in the morning and I have to leave for something early in the morning. Okay, I'm an author. I am writing the opening paragraph of my novel. The novel is about, let's say, about a character who is in search of meaning. Then let's say, I want, I am of, I am of deep philosophical tone, kind of a writer. Help me rephrase the above title and body I provided in 1000 words. In 1000, you can say, uh, in one chapter long, let's say 1000 words article. Okay. And this also includes, by the way, people who are trying to write the articles and things like that. So I did this, and now look what it did, right? And then we'll simply actually read it out as well, because I only mentioned what these are. This model knows exactly what these are, or at least it pretends to know exactly what these are based on its training model. And therein lies the danger, because this training model could be the corrupted model, or you could say this is a wrong model or wrong answers because of the bias of one civilization for the other, right? Because in case you don't know, the books on which these models are being trained on, they are full of biases and of the last century as well as the biases of today. Okay, so let me just open this part. I'll make it like this and let's read it. Good. The fractured self and the roots of conflict. If you check, this title is not better than this title, right? Or maybe we can have a agreement, but this is how it is. And this is my body, and let's see what it actually gives. The question of identity has long haunted the corridors of human mind. Who am I? What defines me? These questions are not mere abstractions, they shape civilizations, fuel revolutions, and kindle the fires of war. Identity, in its myriad form, is an invincible thread weaving through the fabric of every conflict that has ever scarred this world. The search of meaning, or the search for meaning, is, at its core, a battle between the fractured part of the self. Okay, from the get go, this is much better. Makes sense? Or at least you can say this is not written by a novice. This is not a novice writing. It is actually at par with at least a medium or intermediate level of an author. Okay. Okay. So, according to the ancient wisdom of yoga, one of the profound philosophical schools within Hindu thought, the mind is not a singular entity but a divided force composed of four fundamental aspects. Manas, the vast reservoir of memory where past experiences, traumas, and desires dwell. It is the source of conditioned responses, the architect of habit, and the unseen hand that guides reaction, which is true, by the way. Sorry. Okay, right. According to the, okay, we are here. Cool. Buddhi, the faculty of discernment and intellect. It is the rational mind, the seeker of truth, and the wielder of logic, often at war with the instincts embedded within the manas, which is true as well. So basically, your identity or your buddhi is only formed in a way because of your manas or the memories and things like that. Because knowledge exists in the memory, and intellect plays with it. Okay, and the reason why intellect. And now we come to the third part, which is ahankar or ahankar, the ego, the self identity, the insistent I that separates itself from all that it perceives. It builds walls between the self and the other, between mine and yours, creating the fundamental basis of conflict, which is also true. So basically, the role of the buddhi or the intellect is to protect me, aka ahankar, aka ego, through my memories. And the ahankar, by the way, is built through my memories. So it's kind of like a circular three-way entanglement. Okay, and then it writes all sort of things. What I'm saying is, if you were a person who used to do research on these things as an author, right, and then used to write, you spent a large amount on a huge what is the right word, you spent a bunch of days, or you can say a large amount of days, right? Huge number of days in order to read, in order to research, in order to, learn about these concepts. Then you went ahead and wrote and spent days in order to write a perfect article. Now, if you are a very highly capable person who is being in this highly experienced person who is in this field of writing for 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, 5 years, doesn't matter. Maybe you can churn out this article in just a single setting within hours, which is possible, which is actually true, by the way, for the most people. But if you're a person who is not able to do that, this thing is much better than you. It has more data than you. Maybe it's flawed data or not, doesn't matter, but it is much better than you. Okay. So that takes care of the job of an author. I'll just remove this. Here we go. Okay, make it green. Not this, make it green. Okay, so there goes the job of an author. When I say goes the job of an author, I mean, if you are somebody who is writing as a copy articles for the companies, for their blogs, for their, every company had a blog. So if you are writing, if you are a content creator in terms of writing, right, your job is at risk, because now one person who knows how to use this tool can replace you. Eventually, the model, the agents will replace even that person, right? It has already happened. I'm pretty sure you might have seen this on YouTube, people, writers saying they have been laid off, or freelance people, writers saying they have been laid off. That's one. Then comes the editor. Now, let's copy this. We can actually edit this with different thing, which is DeepSeek. Let's say deep thinking. I'll paste the entire thing. I'll say you are an editor. Edit this for crisp, to the point, good grammar, 1000 words essay. So now it will actually do deep thinking part. It will do a bunch of things, and then it will edit it out, right? You can actually give the same thing here as well, but since it is the model which generated it, I tried to give it here, right? Let's see what it actually does. It is going to do a bunch of deep think, and perhaps it will be able to give it back. Now, this does not require some sort of like a deep think model, but I'm just going to try it out, see where it goes. Yes, this is a little bit of different thing, but here's we go. Cool, right? So it actually gave a bunch of things. Now let's see. Identity has long haunted humanity. Who am I? What defines me? And things like that. And it actually changed it. It actually changed the format. Maybe you don't want it. Maybe you don't want it. Maybe you want it. Depends. Because let's be honest, if you don't know how to write, you have no opinions on these. You will just take this, print it, and claim your credit. That's it. So let's see. This is the thing. Okay. Now what I'll do is, this takes care of the editors, you can say, for the most part, because let's be honest, most people don't know grammar, so they hardly care about it. Some people who do, they don't matter in the grand scheme of economics as your end users. A lot of trash mangas out there, manhwas out there, trash manga, trash manhwa, trash books. The fact that they can sell on scale shows you that is the case. All right, so there goes a bunch of editor jobs as well. One editor is enough, maybe kind of like a reviewer person, but it kind of like is enough. Okay, what I'll now do is I'll copy this entire thing, then I'll go back here, I'll paste it like this, and here's what I will be doing. So incorporate examples and slow maintaining. Okay, doesn't matter. and we can close it. Okay, now let's come to the job of a translator. When I say translator, you can think of it as a person who translates a book from one language to another language. Okay, which means here's what I want to do: translate this to Hindi, okay, and use Devanagari script for the output. Enter. This I'll publish in this I'll publish in English articles, and this is where I will be publishing it in Hindi articles. I do not need a translator to actually translate my works in different languages. Now, maybe I can have just one friend who knows this particular language, and I can just give them, okay, here's a book. What do you think about it? And they say, well, it's written very good. It's good. It's great. The language is good. Everything is fine. Then I'll just simply publish it because I don't need to pay others anymore. It's here. I am paying the model, and that's about it. So let's see. I'll read something in Hindi now, but I'll tell you exactly that whether the language is good or not. Vikhandit Atma or Sangharsh ki Jane. This is a good title. This means exactly the same. Vikhandit means the fractured. Atma means self. Sangharsh means, you can say, conflict, right? And Jade means the root. So it actually translated English into pure Hindi, right? Let's see the first paragraph. पहचान ने सदियों से मानवता को सताया है. Identity has, since the dawn of time, caused the conflict, or you can say, let's see what it is. Haunted humanity. It's the same thing. Haunted humanity, right? I wouldn't have come up with this thing, right? Because I don't know the literature knowledge, you can say, when it comes to writing Hindi articles. I may have been trained or through my education in English, but not in Hindi. But this actually works in my favor because as a person who knows Hindi, I can spot good writing. I may not be able to write it, but I can spot it because I have read the novels of Hindi authors. And this is what it is all about. Okay. Then comes the distribution, which is self-publishing, or you can say, you can actually go to the entire thing. So what I'm trying to say is, through this example, the one who got replaced is a human, not the tool, a human, not the requirement of the market, a human. Therefore, these people will now have to become one. So if you are an author, you need to start developing your skills in terms of editing. If you're an editor, you need to start developing something like an authorship. And if you're both or any one of it, or if you're a translator, try doing things like that, So basically, which leads me to point number 2, opinion number 2, you can say. Cool. So here's opinion 2. Think yourself as a OPC, one person company. Okay. Now, what I mean to say here is that stop looking at yourself as a job seeker. Stop looking at yourself as a figment of a socially constructed identity, aka I'm a software engineer, I'm an author, I'm an editor, I'm a senior software engineer, I'm a trucker, I am blah, 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 blah. Stop doing that. Think of yourself as a one-person company. And then through that prism of outlook, try to improve your then start to think of yourself as a one-person company startup, and then do everything in your capacity to grow that particular startup. That's point number 2. That's opinion number 2, right? Because I personally believe that there's no such thing as stable job in 2025. Most jobs are replaceable, and this time most job will be replaced. So you need to learn most of the things that you can actually find little bit of knowledge till the medium part is also fine, theoretical knowledge is also fine, and then start experimenting with these tools. See how far you can stretch it out, and maybe you can make things up, right? Okay, and I'll show you one thing. So there's this thing called here's another job. So for example, if I actually used to create a video, right, and all of those videos used to have subtitles. Now the thing is, the subtitle part is a huge amount of time waste, because I had to listen myself what I'm speaking, and then I had to type it out, and then I had to insert that in DaVinci Resolve editor, and then I have to do a bunch of things before that is possible. Okay, and mind the background noise, because I'm living with people. Okay, all right. However, there's this AI tool which is called Assembly AI. Assembly AI, right? It is a transcriber, and it's just great, by the way. If you go to the pricing, this thing actually works, right? So when I was using it, for it used to have 5 something per month thing. So since I was only making 1 or 2 videos per month, or 2 or 3 videos per month, it was fine for me. But you can actually buy it because its cost is quite low. So what it does is, what you have to do is, let's say you take a stream, right? You take a stream URL, right? And you can just download that particular URL, particular video. After you have downloaded the particular video, you can go to FFmpeg, right? From here, you can utilize this tool in order to convert that MP4 video and extract out the audio part of it in MP3. Then you can take that MP3 and give it to this particular Assembly AI, and it will give you word by word time-stamped subtitles .srt file. You just upload it in your YouTube and it's there, right? It's not much of an effort per se. Okay, so that's a job of a transcriber. If you're a freelancer who's doing transcribing and you are not utilizing this Assembly AI, you're just gonna get replaced. Let me be, and any other tool like this, you're just going to get replaced. However, if you're somebody who is capable of utilizing this tool, maybe you can become a one-person company who can have a bunch of different you can say content creators YouTube, and translate it for them, right? Not to mention, once you have the transcribed script, you can also have it supplied to another tool like ChatGPT, and then tell them to write an article from there. And you can also have another side business of saying, okay, we will not only transcribe, we will also produce you a blog article which you can just publish it. You can also translate it. So it's kind of like an endless possibility. The point here is that how much will the company be willing to delegate now to the freelancers, right? That's also one of the points, because they have money to do all of that in a scale within their company. If they just hire one person, 8 hours of work per day, and he can just churn out articles after articles after articles. Okay, so that's another thing. Okay, which brings me to point number 3. If this is a scenario, then here's something that actually becomes valid case, which is opinion number 3. And the thing is, result over process. If you check basically these two scenarios, what it is actually pointing to is that the world is going to favor the end goal result more than the process when it comes to business or when it comes to jobs. Why? Because job is a process. It's not kind of like, you can say, end result, because the end result is because that job is happening. So if a company wants to produce a product, it hires a bunch of engineers, and the engineers do their job to get that particular product, right? And but if by any chance throughout that entire journey, the company collapses or goes bankrupt, the money that is given to the engineers is not taken back because the payment is now happening till this point on the amount of effort you have put. Okay. What I think will happen is the payment system will become oriented towards the result or the outcome of the entire thing rather than the process. Just because you are going to a job doesn't mean you will be paid, to be honest, unless you have an end result, which is scary, but that's how it will be, right? That's maybe I'm completely wrong here, but this is what I actually think will happen, right? And here is one of the also the crazy thing, because this idea of job kind of never existed as it exists today before the industrial revolution. So almost all of us at this point have to relearn the actual definition of money and value. Okay, what exactly is it that you do so that you're getting paid by the company? You have to kind of like look it from that prism, from that lens now, right? It's not an obligation, or it's as if the world owes you that money for the job you do. The reason why we are actually getting paid is because we have proper laws by the government. This is something that keep in mind: proper laws which have labor laws. Therefore the company needs to pay you for the work that you have done, even if the company has no profit. The thing is, or it goes bankrupt or things like that. What I think will happen is that this nature is about to again get disrupted. So previous to industrial revolution or industrialization, people used to do kind of like all sort of gig economies to go day by day, and I think that future is coming back. That past is going to become the future, except the AI agents are here to help humans to do the gig works, right? And so one thing that I believe that people need to know now is that the true definition true definition of money and value. So here's the simple example. Why do you think why do you think that the company pay you for the job? Right. So so if you think that you're getting paid because you do the job, you're wrong. Right? You're not getting paid for doing the job because that's useless. What you are getting paid is you're making, or you can say creating, a value indirectly for the world. And the company is the middleman, you can say middle place, which solved the problems of legal, environment, I mean work environment, um, policies, sales. Let's say if you're not on sales job, that's what I mean. Engineering, and let's see, management, scaling, business, right? So it is solving all of these problems, this particular company. And if you check, all of these are kind of like the job, which, and you definitely fit in one of them. So what I'm trying to say is, you do not get paid for doing any of these jobs. A bunch of humans come together, create a company, and I mean, a founder creates a company, gathers a bunch of people, and then together they are actually solving a problem for the world, right? So this world is giving you this job, and this world is, and it is because this world is getting some sort of like a value out of this company, which is a middleman, a middle place. Therefore this company is getting the value created by you. Therefore The world is paying this company, and this company is now paying a percentage of that to you. It's as simple as that, right? After taking all the cost out, it is now distributing the money, right? And this also include food management, you can say, food department. Then you also have but again, cleanness, uh, you can say cleaning department, right? A company has a bunch of things. So that's what it is, right? Now imagine doing all of these things yourself. It's overwhelming. Therefore, this is a division of labor theory of the capitalistic industrialized society. Good. But therefore, what will happen is, if you are going to become a one person company, right, the risk of that the company bears, which is, if this cannot deliver the value to the world doesn't pay the company back, is the risk that you're going to run into, which is, if you don't deliver the value to the world, you are not getting going, you will not be getting any money for that particular work. As simple as that. So you're not going to be paid for the process anymore just because you have done work on it, but because of the result. That's my opinion. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe there's definitely some sort of like a legal loophole and bunch of that thing, but I am pretty sure that is where the world is heading, or at least anybody who does a freelance world, they know that. Okay, which brings me what to do now, right? Which is to say that if this is the case, then you have to become like this. Therefore, it is now time that I believe, and this is also going to be true if I'm correct in the company level, is that, let me just put it right here, journalists will be favored more than specialists. Specialists, right? Why? Let's say you are a specialist. What you are deriving your value from is specializing in one of these things, right? You are either an 10x engineer, but you don't know sales. Well, in this environment, if this environment becomes true, you're useless. You need to know sales. If you don't know legal, you're useless, because let's be honest, government will always be after you if you start a company, regardless of the company or country you are in. If you don't know management, you will never be able to deliver the product. If you don't know scaling, then you will never be creating a one person company. So it's kind of like you now need to actually become a one person company. Therefore, you need to become a journalist, right? You need to know everything. You need to have a intermediate level knowledge of every part of your company or skills. That's my understanding. And this is not saying you need to do it right now, but this is something that you should be aiming for in the next 5 years. Within the next 5 years, you need to be like this. And then you need to specialize in one vertical, right? Because on the off chance, this is not the future. On the off chance, the doomsday scenario that the CEOs are painting is not true, and they're just trying to fool the VCs, like the Web3 people, then this will help you, right? And chances are that if you are somebody who is actually working in today's world, you're already in this path. All I'm saying is, once you have reached the pinnacle of this path, and what I mean by that is any skill in which you are advanced, try to start developing few of other skills. At least till the intermediate level. So give an example from the perspective of a development, a backend engineer, let's say. In the field of backend engineer, let's say you're learning Node.js and Express, and you need to learn how to build an API. The Express basics is basically covering, you can say, how the routes are set up, things like that. So basic Express.js knowledge, which is provided in their docs and in the JavaScript. The intermediate part will be how to set it up using Vite, how to do the TypeScript integration, how to run it, things like that, and how to develop a well-structured, with proper folder structure, proper architecture of MVC, things like that. So that's the intermediate part, to know what to do perfectly. And then the advanced level is basically how to deploy it as well. What is the different design patterns and things like that. So what I'm trying to say is you need to have the intermediate level of knowledge in each verticals. You can say in each verticals, and one advanced level knowledge in one vertical. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get at, because I personally believe that generalist will be favored more than specialist. And this is one of the reasons why I'm trying to learn a different languages as well. There's a reason why I'm doing PHP, right? There's a reason why I want to do the Helix editor after this opinion rant. Because if I have to mention my own VPS, right, I cannot run Visual Editor code or Visual Studio code in any of the SSH terminal server. It's not possible. Second, I cannot run Cursor Editor. I cannot run Windsurf Editor. I cannot run JetBrains ID. I cannot do any of that, right? That's something that requires you to have the skill set of at least one of the terminal editors, which is Vim, NeoVim, Helix, or Nano. Doesn't matter. One should be there, right? That's why I'm trying to expand my skills. I have one specialized vertical, Next.js, front end, web performance, web accessibility, things like that. So that's my speciality, right? But now I'm trying to branch into backend, DevOps, things like that. So first, it's going to be my industry in which I'm going to, branch into. Then it will be kind of like different industry, management, sales, policies, like some sort of like legal entities, so that I don't mess things up while I'm starting, let's say, my business, right? Proper taxes, food department, like, and what will be the food department of this one person company? Well, taking care of your health better, right? So that's the food requirement part. Okay. Yeah. School, what? Oh, yeah. So this guy is actually talking about how I'm demeaning India, which is my country, before an Israeli foreign tourist who wanted to come here. And all I said was very simple. If you go out, right? I don't want to make it political, but here's it is. India is not having a good civic sense. Sorry, but that's a requirement. If you go to you can go outside your road. There are stray animals who are just roaming around. Why is the government not taking care of it? Stray animals shouldn't be on road. Stray dogs keep biting people and people are dying because the government hospitals don't have proper rabies injections and people don't have the knowledge to actually take matters seriously when a dog has bitten them. That's a lack of civic sense. People die of heart attack on the road because nobody knows CPR. That's a lack of civic sense. That's a lack of training. I'm not saying that every country is perfect. All I'm saying is, if somebody has a good image in their head of my country, I don't want to ruin it till it becomes better. The chances that they will come here and that image is completely gone is 100%. Sorry, but that's the reality of India. Whether you like it, say my name, or whether you're not. That's a simple fact of life, at least in India. If the government brought 10,000 rupees fine if you kill a person during the road accident, and then there is protest to repeal that law for the vote, and a bunch of politicians actually supported that protest, I'm sorry, but that's a lack of civic sense. That's saying just because you can gather a bunch of people, you can break the law. Sorry, but this is not where it is. The debate of civic sense has just started in India on a mass level, because for the first time, thanks to this government, for the first time, the poverty level has went down, right? And therefore, people now can look into other areas and see, okay, we need improvement in these areas as well. And if wanting improvement is Downgrade karna, sorry, that's a definition, not mine. I cannot bring a person, especially like, why do you people stare here to every single other person? What sort of inferiority complex you have? Sorry for the detour, but that is something that needs to be said. India needs to up its civic sense game, and then otherwise, what will happen is very simple. Foreigners will come here, they will see the reality, which is not as depending on who they are. And in the age of social media, the exact same thing will happen what happened in Goa. Tourists will stop coming in. And this will happen pan India level. Sorry, but that's not the future that I want for my country. Maybe you want it, not me. Okay. This goes to point number, sorry for that rant. Okay, here we go. Where was I? I completely forgot. Yeah, journalist will be favored more than specialist. And I completed that. And this leads me, I think I started the politics anyways. So let me just go to point number 5, which is a political point. It will be either war or UBI. And when I say political, I don't mean like as in overly political. I am favoring one party or not. It's kind of like thinking from the history's perspective. So, what I see happening in near future is a lot of young, unemployed males who do not trust the legal system of the democratic country. And this applies to pretty much all the democratic countries around the world. Young males who are fed up of the system, and now they also are jobless because of the AI. That is a future of catastrophic disaster. There's no other way to put it. This always happened throughout the human history. So back, if you look at who the Vikings were, they were kind of like those. So there were two groups of Vikings, you can say. Those who didn't go out, they were the very peaceful types. But those who went out, right, and just went on pillage, they were the people who didn't get anything from their society. Young, angry, discontented men and jobless in their society. The same thing happened when the European imperialism came into picture. Do you really think people who were sitting home perfectly fine in their European countries, Spain, Portugal, or England, like people who were just sitting there, had a family, were content with their life, do you really think they came out? Or was it the people who had nothing and they want to just go out and, scorch the earth? And in the name of exploration. So, yeah, so that's what will happen. So, what I think is a war is kind of like a civil war scenario might happen to each and every democratic countries in the upcoming decade, or the companies and the government need to come together and actually provide a universal basic income to tone down that revolution. Tone down the war slash revolution scenarios. See, when I say war or revolution scenarios, that revolution can happen on a different or different topic, right? So let's imagine the country like India. I can think of 5 different fault lines right out of my head where the revolution can happen. One is gender. The Indian laws have special provision, 56 different special provisions for women, which is not available for men. And last year, the 9th December, there's a case of unaliving of a person by person Atul Subhash, in case people don't know. And he made a video. That video is 1 hour something long, where he actually mentioned how this is his end video, and after that he will be unaliving himself. That video made an uproar, but that 24-page article that he wrote also showed the hollowness of this legal process of India when it comes to matrimonial disputes, when it comes to gender laws, when it comes to things. And if you don't know, the sexual laws of India, right, the sexual criminal laws of India are not gender neutral. As a matter of fact, if a 14th, and this is a trigger warning if you want to say that, if a 14th, so there was a case in which a 2 months old baby, spent one night in jail because of domestic violence that he did, apparently, to the wife of the husband, you can say, right? There was a case where the neighbor got arrested. The entire family of neighbors got arrested or charge was filed on them for the domestic violence when they were not even they just simply were a friend of the family who was getting charged for it, right? Then there was a case where a 14-year-old um, boy was arrested for raping a 34-year-old woman and impregnating her. Uh, Last I checked, in any civilized society, that is a case of POXO, not rape. But that's how it is. Okay. So that's one scenario where I see the fault line is gender, which is brewing around the world in most of the democracies. Then you have another fault line, and when I say fault line, I mean a fractured line through which the communist type can actually just take that fault line and widen it up. Then it is a caste, right? There's a huge lot of things you can say. There's a huge caste fault line in India, such that uh, either side can exploit it. So there's a social casteism, but there's a legal casteism as well, which is aka reservation. And I don't know who in India actually thought of it, but it came into India and then it spread worldwide around 1960s or 70s. This idea of positive discrimination. Maybe it came from the France only, but it was first implemented in India in 1960-75 when this actually happened, and then it spread throughout. For the first time, because of the internet, because people are now aware, they are now started to considering that. So that's another fault line that is coming up. Then you have the fault line of religion. I don't have to talk about it because this is now a worldwide issue. Then you have a race fault line, you have a class fault line, and this I think will be the major deciding factor, right? Because income inequality is rising up. So what happened in India was government cut corporate taxes, right? Rather than this creating more jobs in Indian market, what happened was the CEO or the top management actually started pocketing that extra money to themselves. So a fresher in India 20 years back, fresher in India, fresher means a newcomer, okay? Basically somebody who's just entering into the market. That's what the fresher is. Cool. So the fresher in India used to earn 3.5 lakhs. Assume something like that. This was, let's say, 2.5 lakhs. Okay. So I'll just open my chat GPT one more time. Let's say 20 years back in India, I used to earn 2.5 lakhs. Provide me the inflation adjusted value of 2.5 lakhs in 2025. Let's say 2024. Okay, so here's what it will do. It will go back to 2004. It will just do something, and here it will say that it actually adjusted the inflation, and this will become approximately 8 lakh, right? And this assume the inflation of 6.35. Now I'll tell it, assume the inflation to be 14% instead, because that's the inflation of education and health. Let's wait. Okay, so here you go. If you are earning 2.5 lakhs as a fresher, 20 years down the line at 6 or 6 to 7% inflation, you should have an entry level salary of 8.5 lakhs. This is a fresher salary that every single person should get in an industry which used to provide 2.5 lakhs as a fresher, right? But if I take the adjustment of, sorry, actual healthcare adjustment as well as the cost of healthcare and education, which is 14%, then it comes to 34 lakhs, right? Now, there's no way 34 lakhs is going to be given to a fresher, but at least this is possible, right? And that's what I'm saying. What is the current salary, however, even when this is the lowest corporate tax in India for the last time, well, it turns out it's just 3.5 lakhs. Whereas what is the CEO salary? It is somewhere around in crores, double digit crores, which used to be in double digit lakhs, right? So in case people don't know, this is lakh. One, this is lakh with 5 zeros, and this is 10 lakh, which is 6 zeros, which is basically a million. In terms of units, it's a million. So 1 million. And then 1 crore is basically another zero. So it's now 7, right? 7, which is 1, 2, 3, 7. And double digit crore is somewhere around, let's say, 10E8, right? But it can be 99 something, right? Because they are around 50 or something. So the jump from this to this is the level of jump that has happened thanks to the government cut corporate taxes for the higher position. But here it only became 3.5 lakhs. Now this, by any definition, is kind of like a criminal thing. And this is going to be the fundamental, you can say fundamental fault line moving forward in any country, because AI is coming, the job will be down. The job will be down, therefore more people will be unemployed. More people unemployed means more income inequality. Therefore, most people will be who are rich are now going to be the target. Whether you like it or not, this is going to happen. The only way to fix this is universal basic income. So these people who are earning here, rather than giving the sermon to work 90 hours a day, a week, they should start thinking, how can I trickle down this amount to a bunch of people who are here? And the government needs to start thinking of, how can I stop the taxes on the income? There should be a rotational mechanism set up so that the money can go from here to here, and there should be a basic minimum monthly per head universal basic income, which is, let's say, in my opinion, 40,000 per head. It's what you need in order to live your life, not survive. In India right now, in tier 2 cities. In tier 1, let's make it 50,000, right? And if you do not do that, this will keep on rising. Eventually, there will be a fault line. Eventually, that will lead to here. So that's my opinion. So it's kind of like a crazy opinion, but I'll just summarize. One is, AI is here, which will take away a lot of jobs. The only way to survive is thinking of yourself as a one-person company, which means you need to think of result over the process, and you need to develop skills in all horizontals till intermediate verticals. You then need to be to do that, you need to be a generalist rather than a specialist. One specialty is enough. If you're going there, just specialize in one thing and that should be enough. And this is a completely different thing. What I believe is it's either this civil war or it's going to be a UPI. And the government and the business people who are extremely rich and sitting here giving sermons need to tackle that effect. Otherwise, there will be no elections. There will be no money, businesses. That's the scenario which I fear most, because as somebody who has read enough history, I don't see anything else. Okay, that take care of the opinion pieces. Okay, maybe this will be a completely the I mean this thing actually took a political turn because AI is not just a technological thing. AI is affecting people. People affecting getting affected means politics. Politics means geopolitics. Sorry, but that's how it is. Cool. So that's one thing. Now coming to Helix editor. Okay, what I'll do now is let me just type it here. Yes, I did. Let's see. No, I didn't insult or degrade the country by stating a fact about civic sense of Indians for the most part. Good. All right. Maybe I will go. Hmm. Yeah. I'll end this stream and we'll do the Helix editor next. Now, let's start. Cool. So right now we are on 111. So 112 is where the Helix editor will begin. So I'll just mention it here. 112 Helix editor part. Okay. So what is this? Well, here's the thing. Helix editor is kind of like the text-based editor. So let's say I want to actually do some programming on text-based editor. So I tried bunch of things. One is Nano. So if I go here and say Nano here, now you can see that Nano is not able to open a directory at all. It's kind of like a file system thing. So it's only capable of doing that. But if I do Vim, right, or Vim or V, right, which is new Vim, for me, V is new Vim. So you will see, right? If I do this and then I open it, at least there's a directory, right? I can go up, down, and a bunch of things is here. Makes sense? Then I can open it. I can go here, go up, things like that. Then I can quit it, right? But NewVim requires a lot of configuration using their configuration file. So if I go here, there's a, not this, and let's see, there's no NewVim. Okay, so I haven't made any configuration file at all. Fair enough. So let's go here only. But it requires a Lua file, Lua language to write a bunch of configuration. But when I was searching for this entire thing, what I actually went to is this thing called Helix editor. So if you check about this Helix editor, this is kind of like, here we go, post-modern. Okay, sorry, that word actually triggers kind of like political memories, but okay. So Helix editor is a text editor which is on terminal. The reason why you need to learn a terminal based editor in 2025 is because when I mentioned that part, be a generalist, I also forgot to name a thing called DevOps. And if you need, basically you need to learn as an engineer how to manage the servers. And when I say servers, I mean SSH. You have to SSH into those servers through your terminal. And there you cannot install VS Code. You can install, for the most part, cursor editor. You cannot install, for the most part, bunch of other IDE GUI editors, right? And maybe sometimes you have to do things directly there on the server. In case of sometimes, right? In case of hotfix, in case of some sort of things happen that no other GitHub actions, things like that is able to fix it, you need to go there. You need to remove bunch of cache files. You need to do a bunch of things. So you need to know that editor. And if you need to change a file in that server, it's better that you need to have, it's better you have some sort of like a knowledge of terminal editor. Second thing is you also need to install Linux or WSL. Go to Mac if you are a developer. The reason is quite simple, that you should know how to run the server, and the best way to do that is be in the environment which actually in which most of the servers run. So I'm not saying replace the Windows, which most of you will probably do anyways once the Copilot is forced down the throat, but all I'm saying is install the VS WSL2 and Ubuntu and actually learn this part, because let's be honest, the things as that you need to learn as a developer or an engineer or a DevOps in the Linux is not the GUI part of it, but the terminal part of it. Okay, so let's install this Helix and I'll show you certain things. So I'll go to download, and from the package manager from here, and this is a PPA, right? So I'll install this here, copy this, paste it. So it will ask for my password, which I'll just supply, and then it should install the entire Helix. All right. Okay. So, okay, where it is, here we go, here we go. Cool. So now that we have installed this, let's run this up. So in my, you can actually type hx and then type dot to open that directory, or you can just, if you're inside the directory, or if you're outside the directory, you have to type the directory name. So I'll just type dot, and here's the Helix, right? The thing with this Helix is that you need not have a bunch of configuration files if you just simply want to work on any, like file. That's what I learned from it. So for example, if I want to open, let's say my routes.php, I have this right here, right? You can see it's here. Now, if I type something, certain things, so let's say I enter the mode of editor using I press the key I and just I enter it. So let's say I want some sort of like hint, right? Do I have the hint? Not really, right? Not to mention, I also don't have a bunch of different emit or things like that. So let's see if I just get out, basically do F. So here's how you get out of the insert mode. You press escape. You are now outside of the this is now motion mode, right? This is normal mode. Basically you are doing the Vim motion. Everything is same, so you are doing that. If I want to add something, I will press at this place where I am, my cursor is, I will simply press I. Now I can start typing here and delete it, right? Now if I want to add something at the end of this particular line, right, then I'll type, let's say, shift I, right? So that will be the first text where I start of the first text, which is this dot. Then I can start writing it. Okay, if I type shift A, then it's going to go to the end, and then I can start typing it. If I want to select certain things, right, I have to get out of the, if you check this thing, this right here, this is the normal mode. I enter I, this is insert mode. So when I have to get out, I press escape. Now I'm normal mode. Now the motion comes into picture. I can select the back words like this. I can select the whole line like this. These are the things I learned in just about 30 minutes. Okay, this is what I'm saying. Be a journalist, generalist, you can say, rather than a specialist. So if I keep on pressing X, it will keep on going down. Now if I want to not do anything, I can just press any of the keys H, J, K, L. And this is not a tutorial, this is something that I'm learning. Now let's see, I want to select everything, so it's going to be V. Then I can just press K and it will go up, 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 up till end. And then if I have to copy this, I can press F, Then here I can press small y, yank selections to clipboard, this one. This does it. Then I can just go down, let's say like this. I can press O to go down the line and start the insertion, right? And then I can just press escape, normal, press a space, press P, which is paste. And here's another one. If I have to delete the entire selection thing, I can press D, which is kind of like cut. It's not deleting anything, it's cut, because if I press P again, it is back here. And just to show you that this is not the old one, so here I am, I'll press D, it's going to take one R out, cut. But if I press F, not this, sorry, if I press F, I mean P, see, it's that particular R. That O was in the insertion mode. So I'll go here, I'll press D, 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 right? Now if I press P, 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 right? Because I'm pasting now. So that's the entire thing. So now if I go to edit mode, insert, I'll just type it back. Okay. Then if I have to do the single line thing, then I'll go up. Basically I have to do single line thing, press V, then start going up like this, press D and single line, X, D, and it's done, right? Then D, D, and here we are. Okay, so that's kind of like very simple things that I'm learning. The reason is quite simple, because I want to go directly to server and do install this on a server. So at least if I need something quick editing on the code on the server directly, or VPS or something like that, I can do it. That's the whole thing. So now in order to write this file or save it, all you have to do is press escape, then press shift, press colon, then here is a bunch of command. What I'll do is I'll press W, then I'll press enter. Now you can see it is saved. If I have to format it, again shift colon F, this is a format which is tab, so it will select the first thing. So this is tabable command in Helix. So I'll press tab, I know exactly what I'm doing, then I press enter and it's done. All right, so now let's open a file which is PHP view. So what I'll do is I'll open space, then I'll go to F, small f, and then I'll type login. Then I'll go here, which is, you can see this arrow, this is tabable. Shift tab goes previous one, tab goes next one. And you can see there's a text which is written there. So let's open the login index. Here I'll just go down using J, where my view is, and let's see. So let's assume that I want to type something. So I'm on O, I pressed O, and this is the insert mode of the next line. And I want to see whether I have the IntelliSense emit. As you can see, I don't have anything like that, right? So I have to go up, come down here, select D, and then press format. It's also not going to do anything right now because I don't have a formatter. I don't have anything, which brings me to next thing, which is once I have this, I will go to languages, and in the languages, I will see that there's a bunch of things that I can do here. So I'll go to language support, and let's see, let's say I want to do the PHP. So I'll search for PHP, command F, PHP, here we go. I need this language server. So I'll just copy this, go here, paste it, and search for IntelliFence. And what I'll do is I'll say language server, right? And here it is. So I'll just click on it. This IntelliFence, I'll copy this thing, right? This thing. So I'll install the language server globally first. So what I'll do is I'll quit this again, shift colon Q, it quits it, right? And then I'll simply do this, right? Install this IntelliFence as global. Second, I also need the VS Code language server protocol, language server extracted. This is another thing. Now, I'll show you what this is. So if you go here, this is a GitHub of Hirsch 7th, I guess. If you go here, it lists how many of the language servers are there. This is VS Code HTML language server. Now, go back to the language support. Okay, go back to the language support, come to this part and see where it is. Cool. So for the HTML, Helix editor supports this, which is good. Now, what about the CSS? So I'll go here. I'll go back. Yep. For the CSS, language server is also supported. What about, and if you check, it's two. So it's CSS and SCSS both. Then we have to go to JSON language server. Let's see. I'll go here. So for the JSON and JSON-C, this is the language server that we will have to do. Then I'll go here, ESLint language server. And yes, this is what it supports, right? Cool. So I'll just install this part. So again, copy this. This will install all of them, and it will not install the markdown, but we'll see. So what I'll do is paste it here. Let me check. Not this. Here we go. Copy, paste. Let's do this. So doing this globally gave me this, Helix will pick up this language server automatically, and it will start giving out the hints for PHP files. And doing this will give the hints for HTML, CSS, and JSON supports, and what else? ESLint, right? What about Emmet? Do we have anything for Emmet? Turns out we don't have anything for Emmet. So I'll give you a basic example, because Emmet is required if you need to do that HTML templates, right? So snippets. Sorry. Okay, for the Emmet, there's something called Emmet language server. And this is the guy, OLRTG, Emmet language server. All you have to do is use this again. Maybe you don't like the idea of, like global installation. So it's up to you, but I think we can have one npm big command of all the language servers. The moment we update a node, we can just install it. That's how I will do. At least this is much easier, right? So now that's an Emmet language server. What else I'm missing? Okay, this much is kind of like enough. So cool. So what I'll do is now I will reopen this file, right? This folder, and let's go to login again, which is login. And let's go down below where we were. And here, let me just start typing again. And you can see it's still not working, right? So what could be the reason? Well, here's the reason. What you have to do is, basically I have to enable this in a language.toml file before it actually can start, like working. So for example, if you go here, this is the setup that I have to do. So I'll show you what is how you do setup. And this can be global. This can be, scoped within a folder. So if I do this, you see there's a thing called hidden files. We have to create one more hidden file folder, which is Helix. Then we will go inside .helix, and here we will have touch of two files, right? One is languages.toml. Let's see whether I am fine with the language spelling. Yeah, Now let's open this thing. Here we go. Here I have to write few things, right? Okay, not this, insert mode. Here we go. So I'll say language, okay, language server dot emit lsp, okay, and then I'll say command. By the way, in case you are wondering where this is coming from, this is coming from here, this thing, where we go Helix. See, you just have to copy paste this thing, but not the entire thing, otherwise things gets messed up. So I'm just writing it for the PHP. So what I'll do is I'll say emit language server. This is basically saying set up this entire within this folder. So Helix has a global pre-built shipped with it a config file, you know, for all the languages that it supports out of the box. Let's say there's a default of all languages. If you have to extend those things, you have to do per project basis. What will happen is if you go to the global Helix configuration, which is your username .config .helix, and you change anything there, then all of that will take precedence over the pre-built config. Therefore, every other thing will stop working. So it's better to do it on a project level basis, which will take the global one and then you will be extending it. So this is the extension. Okay. That's my understanding because that's where I actually ran into. Maybe I'm wrong. So then aux will be studio stdio, standard input output. What I have done, it should be like this. Cool. And then I will have languages, basically language. And here I will have name equals PHP. And here I will have language servers. And see, the moment I installed IntelliFence, that is already loaded. So if I do just emit, right, LSP, this will override that language server configuration where the IntelliFence is here. So what I have to do is I will have to first write the IntelliFence, right, which is default, it's being taken care of. And then I have to again write this emit LSP. Once I have done it, I will come to normal mode, escape, type, write, and that's it. Now I can just, you know, come back here. Now I will go back and open the Helix editor once more. And this time I'll type shift. I will escape, shift, config, right? Tab, and I will go to config open. Here I'll open this config. This, if you check, is at the path of config .config helix and config toml, which is a global. This is not what I want. I'll again do config open workspace. Here it's now going to be inside the Helix, right, within our folder. There I have to write two things. One, what I'll say is I'll change the theme. By the way, theme I want is, let's say, dark color solid. Okay, that's my theme. Now in order to get this theme, get back to normal mode using escape, press again shift colon and then config, reload. Okay, oh yeah, shift W, right? Now that file is there. Now shift colon and then colon, then basically this will be config reload, and this is reloaded, right? So that's one. Then I'll go back here and I'll say editor. There's a bunch of things that I want to do in the editor. One is, right now if you check, I can actually use the mouse, right? So what I'll do is I'll say mouse equals false, write it. Now let's see, mouse equals false, line number is relative, means if you check right now, I am on 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? Now, one of the things that I was used to see is the relative line numbers when I saw people using Vim, and I was like, why? And I tell you why. Because you can actually jump from uh, a huge amount of place in just Vim motion way, right? So I'll show you why. For example, if I have to go up, I have to press K. That's 1 up, 2 up, 3 up, 4 up, 5 up. And down is J, right? However, if I press 5 number and then press K, I am skipping the 5 places, right? And if I press 5 and then press J, I'm skipping the 5 places. Therefore, that relative numbering works well, because now when I'm here, this 5 is going to be 1, and it will show me if I have to go up, say 1, how many characters should I, what is the number that I have to press first before I press the motion key. So it will show, let's say this is 1, then it will show 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So I will press 4, then I'll press K, right? I'll show you. Okay, so let's go and write it. Let's go and config reload it. Now it is here, right? Now you see when I'm here, this is my line number 5. And if I have to go up, I have to press 4, K, I'm up. This is my line number 1. Now if I have to go to relative, I can press 4, J. So that's a very good motion that I am, like, it's not like I am just doing everything, but I am pretty confident that I got a little bit of like going for me, right? Anyways, come back, delete this part. Let's see again. Okay, one thing that I don't like is there's something called auto format, which I want to be true, not truer. And then I will have editor dot cursor shape, right? And this will be insert. It should be bar, right? And the normal is what I like to be a block. Now let's just save this, config reload it. So now this is how I type. And if it's a motion, then I know where the motion is. Cool. Go back, go here. And now what I'll do is editor dot soft wrap. For some reason, this setting is not working, but let's see whether it works on Windows or not. This will be true. This will be max wrap equals, let's say 20. And this will be max indent retain equals 40. Okay. Yeah. Write config reload. Once you get the hang of it, it starts becoming faster, right? So, okay. So if you go here in the editor of the configuration, there is where you'll find all these settings that I'm doing, right? So editor section, it has all of these things. Then you have clipboard provider, then you have status section, a bunch of things, right? So it's kind of like you can just go and do all sort of things. Or if you don't want them, then you don't have to, okay? Cool. So let's go back to my file called login. And here I am. Now, if I have to now go, let's say line number 24, I'll type 24K, right? Let's see. Oh, sorry, 24J, right? I'm directly on the 25th line, right? So if I have to go say 19 up to success, I will type 19K. I'm on success. If I have to type, I have to go to data password, then 18K. I'm on the password, right? It's a very simple thing. And then let's see. We have to first test whether this is working or not, the button thing, right? Let's say here, now whether the button is going to work or not. It is not working once more. Let's see, maybe what is happening is the, because it should actually work. Let's see why that is the case. So in my different config reloaded. Also the theme is not working, so maybe it's a reason of this thing, terminal. So I'll close this thing. I'll go here and open the Ubuntu itself, not the bubbles, Ubuntu. Okay, no, don't open it from there. I want it to be open like directly. Let's see. Hmm. It's for some reason it's taking this, and the theme of this is taking over. So okay, let's see. Why is Helix theme not working in where it is Windows terminal? Yep, here it is. Cool. Okay, so maybe I have to go and start doing things there. Makes sense. Okay, so here's what I'll do. I'll go back, because this is the theme that I have set up for this. If you go to defaults and appearance, this is what it is, right? It has the opacity, it has the background image, it has the background opacity and a bunch of other things. So what I want is, I don't want that part. So let's go to projects and enemy card, and let's open this up. This time what we'll do is config, open. No, we'll go and do config workspace, open. I'll select everything from here. So I'll do X and just keep pressing the X. Then I'll say space Y, which is basically copying the entire thing. I'll then open config, open. I'll say space P, it's right here. Then I'll just go up D, and then I'll say write this thing, and then I'll just not this, reload, and still didn't work at all, because okay, so even here it will not work. So let me just select everything, delete it, write this thing. Let's see where it is. It's in config, this thing, right? So it didn't exist it there. So what I'll do is, I'll say sh, I'll go to config, then I'll go to Helix, then I go to, not this, Helix config toml, and here I'll just say rm that thing. Command is success. Cool. So now I go here, I'll say hx, then it was where, app data. Okay, so let's see, I cannot go from there, so it's going to be mnt. See if it is WSL related. There's nothing here. Looking at the log attached above, I notice here true color support is required, which is strange because both elasticity and true color, it's not picked up. You might, okay, let's see. Specifically with this. Okay, let's see, not this. So maybe config workspace. What I'll do is, here I will have of editor. So insert, it will be true color, true. Okay, write it down, config reload. Now it's working. So let's do this, because this guy helped me. GabDD. Cool. So now you can see that it is working just fine. Okay. Let's open and close this thing. We can then open this whole thing and let's see. Login. I have to go down. For some reason, I need this thing to actually start working, but the emmet is not working. I'm definitely messing things up. Open the thing, not this thing. SX, basically open dot helix and languages. Okay, so okay, I think I messed this thing up. So go here, I'll open dot helix language. Let's see, language server dash server dot emmet dash lsp, and then we have a command equals emmet language server, which is fine. Then we have arguments of standard input output. Then there's a language which is named PHP. Then we have language servers equals IntelliFence. Then we have emmet lsp. Yeah, this part is taken care of just fine, but that is not helping during the thing. Let's see if I have to go to index, not here. Okay, let's see whether the PHP one is working or not. Yeah, now the PHP is actually there, so that's fine. So if I can do and say this, you can see that it also is completing this, what I have mentioned above, the key value, right? So that is working fine. If I say echo, this has to work. For some reason this is not working. Then I say var dump, this is also working fine. Then I can say routes, then I can just say price, and here we go. The error is also working fine. You can see there's a dot there, so here we go. Right, cool. Anyways, so I hope that this is making sense as to why I believe that you should also learn some sort of like a Helix or maybe Vim or NeoVim, doesn't matter, editor of your choice. You should have a command there, and this is where we will be looking into the PHP crash course. Okay, which is something that I'll be doing next week, basically next week, right? Because I'm traveling for a week, going to Mahakumbh. Therefore, what I'll do is, that's why I removed the PHP part, because that's what I'll be doing next week. Now, when I say PHP part, what I actually mean is, right. So when I do PHP part, what I want to do is, let me just open Accelerator once more. Okay. So you saw this code, right? So if I just go back and I open this code, you saw this code. There's an index file. Not this. I think I messed up few things. So let's see. So there's an index file where I am starting a bunch of things, and previously in this index file itself, I had the entire page, right? There was no routes folder, there was no such thing. But assume that what happens is, if I show you this page, which is login page, right? Here, if you see, the entire thing is kind of like scrambled into one particular page where we are handling the post request, making it like checking whether this is a post or not. And if that is not the case, we are also within the post request, we're doing a bunch of things. We are first validating the incoming values, then we are validating the errors, then we are also making the DB connections. We're also doing the DB at top, right? Then we are doing the password verification, cookie handling, and a bunch of other things. And then once this is completed, right, what we are doing is, once this is completed, we're also doing this thing called okay, let's see whether format works or not. Cool, this now also works. Okay, so we are also doing this thing called views, right? And this is where the views are. Okay, for some reason the emmet is not working. We'll figure it out later. Okay, this pattern is something that was not there in the PHP world. At least they still don't follow this pattern, because PHP is mainly the backend language, and therefore what they actually follow is this pattern of MVC, where they separate the views from the models, aka the databases, database files, and database schema model file, and controllers, which is the part and parcel of your so-called taking the request and sending the response. And then you have a bunch of services behind the scenes which actually do the real work, right? So it's kind of like a separation of concern on that part. What React did was it broke that separation of concern concept and changed it so that you can view it from a different lens, which is to say, each file should have its own. So rather than doing the separation of concern on a folder level or on the what you can say wait a minute, let me drink water. So rather than doing the separation of concern based on the nature of the file, right, like view where you're presenting things, controller where you're handling the request responses, services where you're handling the business logic, models where handling the DB logic. Rather than doing that, what they said is it should be a file-based separation of concern, meaning if you have one login page, it should be an entity in itself. It should have a DB connection, it should have a service connection, it should have a service code, DB code or model code, business logic, a controller request response, and pretty much the view as well, which is the JSX part. So if you check, so if I just quit this part and let's go to projects live Next.js crash course, and I'll open it in VS Code because I haven't set it up Helix for this. So if you check here inside this src, inside this app, and if I have to go to say page, check this out, right? This is a view. Everything that is inside the return, that's a view, right? Cool. Now if I go to dashboard and go to my page, you see this part is kind of like a logic part. This is a controller part. You have this in controller, then you send this to a view. That's exactly what we are doing, but our separation of concern is quite different, meaning this logic and this view, and in modern you can say database connection as well or services as well, they live in one file. So when I'm opening the dashboard page, I know exactly where everything is, right? At least that's the concept. What actually ends up happening is that the moment you started going to server back to the server, you have this thing called security consideration that comes into place. So if you go to Next.js and go to blocks, right, you'll find that there's this thing called, where's the security? How to think about security in Next.js, right? This was written by Sebastian, and here they are talking about React server components, which is basically as if you're writing PHP, right? Because this thing never comes to, never runs on the client. This thing sends the HTML to the client, right? Therefore, it is sits in the server itself. Therefore, the pattern that the React team is now going to tell you to utilize it to make it more secure is going to be the same old pattern, kind of like a same old pattern. So you can see that it says, if it's like a big project and your existing thing, then use whatever you are using. HTTP APIs basically call the fetch request from within the server components is going to be server to server, communication. Otherwise, you have component level data fetch. See what they said. Let me just open this. Okay, component level data access. It's only recommended for prototyping and learning, meaning if this is your component, right, the data access, which I'm doing right here, this is only for, not this, the data access that I'm doing. Say I have a database, which is here, and here's the data, right? Let's assume there was nothing that was stopping me to do this. Copy this entire thing, this, and if you don't know where this came from, this is a Next.js crash course. This is something that I built in one of my previous crash course live stream. So I'll just go to studio and I'll go to content, live stream. You'll find that this is the 4 live streams that I did. It's coming from there. Okay, go and watch that if you haven't. So basically what they are saying is, rather than doing it like this, I could have written it like this, right? Nothing is stopping me from doing that. Of course, I have to upload, bring back all these components. So that is a component level data fetch, but it is only for prototyping and learning. And if you go up, you are getting back into data access layer, which is funny because it's technically saying go back to controllers. That's all it is. Go back to controllers, go back to services, go back to model. Maybe you can combine all those two in different access layer, but just go back to it. So here it is. Our recommended approach for new project is to create a separate data access layer inside your JavaScript code base, consolidate all data access there. This approach ensures consistent data access and reducing the chance of authorization bugs occurring. Cool. And that's what it is. So what they are doing is, this is what they are promising. This. Now, this thing, if you check where I'm awaiting the cookie, I'm getting the access token, I'm getting the query, I'm getting this percentage, blah, blah, blah. These two can be extracted out, and let's, for the sake of thing, I'll go back to helper. I'll go down and I'll just say export const get access token. We'll see what the name can be. Just wait a minute. So it will be like this. This I'll make it as async. So right now I have to get the cookies. I have to get the access key. Let's say what I'm doing with the access token. Let's see. I'm passing it here. Cool. So I can just return this access token like so. And then here I can just have, maybe here, await get access token like this. Now this then become async and I will have access token. So this is the pattern that they are saying to do, right? Fetch everything on different layer. Assume it as a data access layer, right? Do all the logic here. If it's about whether this person is logged in or not. So maybe you can say is logged in, and then you can say access token, right? And then you can also send that part, right? And here you can also have is logged in. And if this person is not logged in, if this is not logged in, not this, maybe just redirect this person to, home page. So this part is outside, right? And then this is a query part. Maybe you want to extract it out somewhere else, or maybe you need that to be here. Doesn't matter, because this is a part and parcel of this page. So it depends on your, how much abstraction do you want. And this is completely a data access layer, because when I go to fetch card, I am first trying whether this has access token or not, right? So maybe if I don't have to pass, let's say, user cards table, here I am trying to pass access token, right? So maybe I don't need that. Then I don't need access token here at all, right? It depends on the component level as well. If I want it here, maybe I also don't need it here at all, right? When I go here, I'll remove the access token from this. I can, by all sense and purpose, do it from here. Await get access token and get it here. Cool. So now the user dashboard page only is doing what it's supposed to do. This, it does not have to pass access token to a server component. The server component will take care of doing it themselves. So I'll just remove this part. I'll have the same code here like this and this. Cool. Now if you want a dashboard level page, control as to whether you want to redirect or not, then yes, just do it here as well. There's nothing stopping you. That's what I'm saying. So, but this is a pattern that they are trying to follow. This abstraction is kind of like a controller abstraction where you're right. Your business logic is not hindering a part of your code, right? This then becomes controller logic. Okay. This becomes services. And if you are also doing databases like so, then what you can do is you can, by all sense and purpose, you can extract this part out and give it to, let's say, export const fetch cards data model. You can see, yeah, no, this is fine. So this is basically your service, right? Model is basically your schemas. So that's the Prisma that we keep on using. But you understand this part, right? This is your controller. This takes care of just getting the data and returning the view. That's it. It receives a request in this route. It gets a bunch of data by delegating it to the service, and then it returns a view. That's it. That's a controller logic in a way. Then if you go to table users, right, this is again receives a bunch of data, gets the data and returns the logic, and it delegates the data returning to another component, which is basically this thing. Again, you don't need this access token if you don't want to. You don't need it here either. You can just go here, delete this, and just make this the case access token await get access token. Okay, you can do that. So it's kind of like saying, okay, just fetch me the data because I have received a response, take that response, fetch me the data, I'll return the view. Again, controller view, that's a combination that we have right now. And what they are saying with the data access layer is just separate the service, please, right? Separate the service logic somewhere else. Don't write it here. That's all they are doing. So it can be data access, it can be fetch request, it can be anything. The best possible way to, do that is from that. So it's kind of like we are going back to the basics, right? We are going back to the basics, and there's nothing, it's kind of like, you can say, a cycle of humanity where everything which is cool becomes boring and eventually it becomes cool again. It's like saying, as humans, we value only one thing. We like only one thing, change. Because we get bored so often, so easily, that we think that we have to change things because this is not working fine. Then you change things. Then you go and build things up and eventually reach to the conclusion, oh crap, this is also shit. We have to change things. Okay, what should we change this into? well, you go back again, right? And this is something that you actually see across the human activity. It's not just coding, it's also in politics, right? You experiment with one set of policies for a generation, then you are at one of the end where a bunch of people don't like where it's heading, and then they say we have to change this. Okay, what is the change that you want? We have to go and make things great again. There's nothing else. It's just the same thing. It's also same philosophy of refactoring, to be honest. The reason why you refactor is because you see your code and you're like, crap, that's shit, we have to change it. And then you do the entire thing. Turns out that is even shittier than what you had before, and oftentimes it does not work. Now you're fucked. So that's the entire philosophy of humanity, which is funny. It's kind of like it's comedy in a way. It's comedy in a way. Who cares, I guess. That's what we actually do, right? It's not just comedy, it's kind of like an insane comedy, because you are doing things over and over again, thinking that you'll achieve something which you didn't achieve by doing the same thing which you did previously, be it any phase of life, which is funny. All right, I guess today that's it. Live stream 8 will be after I return from Mahakumbh. That will be after a week on next Sunday. That's where I'll do the PHP. And when I say I do the PHP, I mean that here's what I'm trying to build in the PHP. And this is something that I want to be up. And it's kind of like an opinion piece, not in the anime card. I need something that is useful for me. So the PHP project will be mm, hmm, kind of like subject upvote thing. What it means is I'll create a website where I'll be writing a bunch of video ideas, right? This video ideas. Then I want, okay, yeah. Then I want people to uh, upvote them there. It's also going to be kind of like a forum for people to join, right? So it's going to be very simple PHP application where it's going to be a very simple um, application, you can say, where there will be a video ideas list. So what I need is let's see, what I need is this post, get, update, delete criteria. This will be a public um, thing. It will have rate limiting, so that will be one so not rate limiting will be there anyways, but it will have users can vote either up or down. That's it, one time, right? To not allow bunch of multiple requests. So it's very simple thing. Then what about the authentication? Do I need it? Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, let's have users auth as well. This will be basically email password thing. Then this will be there because we will allow users to submit their requirement, you can say their video demand, and other users can upvote or downvote it. And basically I need a notification system. Maybe not notification. Yeah, not notification. There's no admin system requirement either. It's going to be very small kind of like app. So users will be capped at, let's say, users capped at, say, 500 or maybe 100 first, because let's be honest, I hardly will get any users for this. And that's about it. Technically speaking, this is a very simple app that I might have to do, will do. And the problem will be users can do anything, type anything. So I need to be able to delete it, right? So what I'll do is, um, rather than me delete it, maybe I'll see what we can do. Let's see. Users can upvote to delete a comment which is reported. So users, once the upvote goes above, once the upvote goes above, let's see, 5, 10, the comment is deleted. I don't want to moderate this, to be honest, so it's up to the users. So that's, let's say, a video ideas, right? And people can vote, forum uh can people join. So basically this is the auth. This is the entire thing that we'll build, but that's not it. We'll build it using Docker, and then we'll ship it to, I think render might work. So let's see if I'm correct. Not redder, render. I do have one thing here. Got their UI. Hmm. Yeah, okay, got it. So this is not working. What I'll do is, I don't even know what this is, failed deployment. So, but it works. The Docker is there. Why is it? What is it? Let's see. Okay, it never worked in the first place, but exactly what it is. Yeah, I think it's okay. Let's see. I completely forgot what I started. Payload CMS, modified CMS. Yeah, it's a useless product. What I'll do is, I'll just go to settings, come back, go here, delete the web service. Just copy this. Come on, copy pasta and delete it. Cool. Now let's see. Do we have a web service? Yes, so we can do this web service. What we can also do is, I think, this PostgreSQL. So I might have to do the PostgreSQL thing rather than that. Cool, I'll see. So that's the plan. Okay. So yeah, hopefully this video was, this video was completely different from anything that I have done in this channel till this point. There was also an accusation of downgrading my desh, which is country, but that's not my intention was. It's simply saying if you don't have the civic sense. So I just anyways managed that. Then we talked about the Helix editor part, and here we are. Hopefully this is fine. I'll do what I have to do. Maybe should I remove this comment? No, I let it be, because yeah. Cool. Yeah, see you next time in next week on Sunday, and take care.